Good evening. This is Debra V. Wilson. It is Tuesday. My days are really okay. I was going to use profanity. It's Tuesday, the 5th of February, 2019. The time is 1100 hours and 50. No, I'm sorry. It's 2300 hours and 53 minutes, and that's GMT plus 2 because I'm in Israel, Haifa, Israel. So I am in a space, in a place, in a country that identity is so very important. And this story about the actor Liam Neeson. Someone near and dear to him, a woman, was raped, and he asked her about, for some people they think it's odd that he asked the color of the person who raped her, if she knew him, and the color of the person who raped her. And she said she didn't know the person, according to Mr. Neeson. And she added that the person was a black man. To which he responded in an interview with the reporter. He's telling this story to this reporter as he's discussing a new movie coming out. I'm sure the studio thinks, wow, that's some timing this man has. Well, anyway, I'm stuttering and stammering here because I know what I want to say, and this is the benefit of having a small following, because I know what I want to say, and it's and really, truly, no one will see or hear this. But anyway, he doesn't indicate that the woman asked for his help, that she needed him to retaliate, but that he does. And he talks about why he retaliates, and one of the reasons why he does is because he is from a community in which that was touched by the Troubles, and he knew people who participated in the hunger strikes. So I'm guessing that would be making a guess, and I think it's a pretty salient guess that those people are Catholics. So I have to tell you a little bit, and this is going to be really one of my sputtering videos. So I'm Black American. As you can see by the picture, my picture, I'm visibly black, and when I speak, you can tell I'm from the States. I became engaged to someone who was in the, I believed to be a member of the provisional IRA. It was the tail end of the Troubles, and the community I was a part of in Dundalk was very much on board about supporting a peace agreement. Okay? There was also some utterances of less than trusting relationships with the British government, and some narratives around white English identity. There were also narratives around gender. Okay? There were narratives around gender. So when I see this interview by Liam Neeson's son, and how it's being dissected, what he said was atrocious. It was racist. But I remember being in Dundalk, and I remember being at sharing a meal with a group of men that I because no one tells you these things, and one of them brought up, did we know that there were 2 new doctors coming to the town? And one of the men at the table said, no, I didn't know that. And the other man, I'm sitting there as I said, just look at my photo, and I'm sitting there, and there's been no change in my melanin content. And one of them said, "Yeah, they're the N-word. I think they're from Nigeria." And so I looked at him and I said, "Are you kidding? Hello?" And his response to me was that you're not the N-word, you're so-and-so's fiance. So, whilst I think Liam Neeson's construct of the black man is very typical for black Americans, specifically with the black man being a perpetual predator that you have to watch, I also was a part of this community. I wasn't born into this community like Mr. Neeson, but was a part of the community, and in some ways remain connected to it, which I've been very frank about, because I do support some of the policies of Sinn Féin. And I am very supportive that the Troubles, not solely but definitely by the provisional IRA, is now a political struggle and not an armed one. But nevertheless, I'm fully aware of the constructs of narratives around ethnic identity, what people would say race, and gender, and how they get fused together, and the constructs around revenge and protection and the othering. And whilst I think that it's easy to, and Liam Neeson is racist, he's racist, the statements were racist, he needs to own that racism, but it's also was sexist, and his view of his this woman in his life. Did she ask him to do this? It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like she was dealing with this alleged attack in the way that she was, but that he decided that I have to fix it. I'm the man, and I'm going to go out and look for a black man. But what I'm saying to you is that you have to look at his disturbing and aberrant language and construct of humanity through the environment in which he came from. I'm not saying it's right, but if the man who attacked her was English, white English, he'd be hunting a white English person. The fact that he asked for color could mean literal ethnic, what I call ethnic, with most people racial identity, but color could also mean white English. Was he an English, I don't want to say the word, was he an English B? And he would have gone out looking. It's not right what he did. I think I share something probably with the heads of the studio. Why in the world would he conflate this experience with this movie coming out? I'm sure the studio is delighted about that. It's not a good look. I'm going to post some things from it is just not a good look for many people who have limited to little knowledge of the Troubles. And he's talking about the Troubles, and he's referring to constructing black men as all potential predators, and simultaneously prays to unleash your vengeance on, because this is the construct of the black man that he's going out looking for with Akash, that they're simultaneously prey and predator that he has a right to seek revenge against. There's all sorts of inappropriateness in what he's saying. I'm imagining there are people from the north that are cringing. I'm imagining there are people that are Irish identity that are cringing. And again, that studio, I'm imagining they're going, oh, wonderful, this is just wonderful. So I'm not explaining it, but I am saying that this very disturbing admission by Liam Neeson is disturbing no matter how you look at it and how you contextualize it, But I am a believer in critical thinking, and that in even the most aberrant and disgusting and disturbing behavior, there's a need to understand how it got there. And it's important to contextualize it from the space in which it emerges. You have to also remember, and I'm going to post an article by Gerry Adams where he uses the N-word. You have to remember that, or be aware that for years and years and years in Europe, the Irish were the N-word. And in some parts of America. There is a reputed, quote this, credited to Gerry Adams, that I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard it for years, that he said he liked coming to America because in America he was a white, with the first time he was a white man, and in Europe, particularly in Britain or the North, he was the N-word. I'm not justifying it, but it's repugnant as Mr. Neeson's constructs of ethnicity, revenge, and gender, all of those things are. He also mentions the space in which he emerged, the Troubles. It's not to defend it, because there's no way in the world, as a black person, a human being, as a woman, I could defend anything he has said around his desire to seek revenge against a black person, against a human being. But I'm asking to engage in critical thinking. And to engage in critical thinking doesn't mean you're sympathetic or forgiving. It means you're thinking. And I'm well aware of that culture, and I'm well aware of when I left Dundalk in 1998 with the assistance of, I think it's okay to say, because certainly the pieces know that helped, with the assistance of the provincial IRA, and in quotes, and the state in Ireland. I remember the construct of MI5 and how people in that space constructed MI5 and special branch. And no matter what side of the equation you're on, in the Troubles, it was synonymous with dehumanizing, being dehumanized and dehumanizing the other, creating an other and dehumanizing the other. So I think if one thing this utterance by Liam Neeson, see, this is what social media does, because this is the thing I'm looking at, is how social media is the immediate. So I'm sitting here in my bed and breakfast in Haifa, right? And I'm going to post this on the World Wide Web. And it has the potential to go all over the world, where people understand or misunderstand what I'm saying through a myriad of prisms. I'm not saying you have to understand. I'm not saying you have to agree. But I'm saying that despite the fact that the internet can give the performance of being the immediate, because when I watch YouTube videos, for the next few days when I watch YouTube videos, I'm watching them from the context of Haifa, Israel. I still run what I see through the prisms of my identities and how I've experienced those identities in the places I've experienced my identities, my intersecting identities. But I experience social media the way I think most people do, via the internet. It's very personal. It's in my space. But that is what the challenge is And indeed, the journey is, and indeed, the joy is of social media. It takes the global and brings it close and personal to you. And then it challenges you to, I think if you so choose to be challenged, you can just go along with what you feel and how you believe and what you think. But never has there been a greater opportunity to understand and see the world. I'm not saying agree. I find what Mr. Neeson said repugnant. But I also am in an interesting position that probably not a lot of us. I'm a Black American woman that had very close and up personal experience with Britain for years, and then the Troubles from the perspective of a Republican community. So this isn't to explain away what this actor has said. It isn't to say, oh, I feel sorry he's gotten caught up in this storm. No, I don't. Yeah, because he should have used that he thought it, that he did it. Those are problematic. And then his choice to share it. Like I said, I think I understand his studio. I'm just saying this is yet another opportunity to engage in critical thinking. And you may still you have a right to come up with the conclusions you come up with. And my conclusions are that this was quite racist, quite sexist, quite disturbing. But after living in Dundalk and being a part of that hyperbolic space of where binaries formed about the other, around gender and identity, I'm not surprised at what he's saying. I'm not surprised at all at what he said and how he constructed. I'm also going to post something from Hanna's house, which is an event I attended in August of 2010, and it was a discussion about the Troubles and women, and there were women from various communities, loyalist, Republican, apolitical, and do a little research. Don't just respond. Do what you want. That's legal. Don't go to his movies. Be deeply disappointed in him. His judgment was horrendous in this. I'm not sure why he did this. I just don't know. But it's an opportunity for critical thought to understand. You see, and I can say with some authority based on lived experience, but you see, this is what the Troubles produced. You see, it was an ugly, violent chapter in both Irish, British, and European history. And this hyper-binaries of gender, identity, ethnicity, and constructs around revenge. This is what the Troubles produced. So, the way I think and conceptualize things, it's an opportunity to learn. It's another reason why people like me don't want to see Brexit interfere with the Good Friday Agreement. So, there you go. This is Debra V. Wilson, and it is now the 6th of February, which is Wednesday, 2019. I'm in Israel. I'm in Haifa. I'm in a tiny B&B. And the time is midnight, 12 minutes after midnight, and that's GMT +2. Thank you so much.